So I was on a live, and it's not somebody's live I get on a lot, but they were talking about CM regarding the Summer Wells case. And I can't stand CM. I don't care if he was a cop. I don't care. All I need to know about CM is that he tried to frame 3 boys for a murder that I know he knew damn well they didn't commit. And that he drugged one of those boys in when they were 14 years old, apparently. And this boy's 12-year-old sister had been murdered. I mean, I don't know the whole story. I read an article, too, about it, a few months back. And this happened quite a few years ago when CM was a homicide detective or something, and I guess the mom and the dad and the 14-year-old boy and his 12-year-old sister were in the house or whatever, and the sister got murdered, and he interrogated this boy for hours and hours and hours and hours, and it was one of those confessions that all the false confession people look at later and say, oh yeah, this is definitely a false confession, and this confession is no good, and everybody knew this confession was no good, and he should have never done this, and quit chewing on my cord, please, Binky. Thank you. Y'all just have to excuse me. I'm laying in bed with COVID. Quit sucking my ear. And, so, go away, Binky. So, when everybody says something about CM, the first thought that pops in my mind is, CM was a bad cop. CM was a bad cop years ago. Like, this is not new news that CM will do bad cop things. And then apparently, even after this bad confession, he got out of this kid. He then tried to drag in 2 of this kid's friends and tried to get false confessions out of them, but apparently wasn't able to. So, and all this went on for like 5 years, that he tried to ruin these kids' lives. Please quit sucking my ear. Ow, bots, stop, that hurts. So, I guess whoever, like, the police department or whoever, of course, they ended up catching the guy eventually that killed this boy's 12-year-old sister. And they ended up having to pay millions and millions to this boy's family, and I'm assuming probably to the other two boys' families, and I mean, they just, I can't even imagine the poor parents of this little girl that had been brutally murdered in her home, to have one child murdered and then the other child ripped away from them and accused of this murder, who they knew was totally innocent, by the police, who were supposed to be figuring out who murdered their child and helping them through this horrendous situation. And instead, they were assigned the detective, Chris, who wanted to build his career on this case, whether it was true or not. He just, I mean, I don't. And so they were talking about him, on this. They'd said something about him on this live a few minutes ago, and so I said something about it, and then they said, "Don't bash people." I said, "Are you talking about me? Don't bash CM?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "I don't think stating facts that have been admitted to, I don't, those are facts. I don't think that's me." Please quit with my ear. Mommy doesn't feel good. I don't think that's me bashing him. And they said, "Well, don't talk bad about other creators." I'm like, are you all serious? I mean, this is part of that crime drama crap going on with the Summers Wells case. And I mean, and this channel, I mean, and rightfully so, has been over there just dragging, Molly and Bullhorn Betty and JLR, and, hey, more power to them. I don't care. Go ahead. Whatever. But would you stop with my ear? Please, Mr. Bots. But then, they're going to draw the line at somebody who pulled a 14-year-old crime victim whose 12-year-old sister had just been brutally murdered and gave him hours of interrogation. Until he had no choice but to give a false confession. A confession that everybody that watched it said Hey, wait, this is a false confession. This is like the definition of how you break a 14-year-old into giving a false confession. This is like not okay. And then systematically drag that kid for 5 years and his family who lost their 12-year-old daughter to a murderer. And it if I'm not mistaken, like I said, it's been months since I read this, but I'm thinking it was like some stranger that broke into their house or something, and they ended up catching the guy through DNA or some crap, and yeah, they had to pay this kid and his family millions, and it was all just concocted out of thin air, basically. It's like he just got a hold of the worm and wouldn't let go, that this kid just up and for some reason slaughtered his sister, and that he had his 2 friends help him, and he just was going to destroy these young boys' life because he had the ability to, and he was not going to let it go, whether there was no evidence to point that way or not. And I think that says a lot about somebody's character. So yeah, I think that says a lot. So if there's a case like that there was a lawsuit that settled for millions, what other kind of judgment calls did he make that, that didn't settle for millions and millions, that, there's been probably quite a few bad judgment calls over the years. So I don't consider that bashing him. I consider that talking about his bad judgment in the past that there's evidence of. That's, and just because he has a YouTube channel, I don't think that gives him a free pass. That, hey baby, my goats are sleeping. I need a drink. Y'all, I'm falling apart with this COVID. I'm so sick. I feel like get away from my ears. I feel like if you're willing to destroy 3 innocent kids, that says a lot about who you are as a person. That says a lot. So, Please don't chew the cord, Binky. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, really, I guess, is I don't, you guys, like, don't bash other creators, really? Don't bash other creators? No. No, I'm not okay with that. Mm-mm. No. No. You know, if somebody is not, if somebody is proved in the past that they're not okay, that they're not trustworthy, they're not, yeah, I think that that needs to be remembered, that that should definitely be remembered. I don't, yeah, that's stupid. That's stupid to me. That makes no sense to me at all. Bye, guys.